2 years ago, I released a video under the Virus Investigation series where we looked at a game called Sonic Gather Battle. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was a malware video game created by the most insane Sonic fanboy you could ever find. Now, if you don't know, we're just going to start off with a couple glossary definitions. If you recolor Sonic the Hedgehog, I don't know, Amy the Hedgehog, Cream, whatever Sonic character out there, a lot of these Sonic fanfic creators will consider that an OC, original character, don't steal. Everyone steals it, no one really cares. It's a cringy step towards anyone's life. Now, there's very few people that valiantly defend their OCs. Like a mother defends their child, a really insane OC writer will defend their Sonic character. I'm almost convinced the Sonic franchise would sacrifice a child to the blood gods if it meant that Sonic the Hedgehog could be preserved coming into their life. Maybe they could taste a bit of Sonic's cum. If that freaks you out a little bit, welcome to the internet. Now, this is sort of a revisiting of Sonic Gather Battle. Last time we covered this, I basically looked at a bunch of Discord messages and, footage that everyone else really captured, but I never really got to experience the cringe for myself. Now, a lot of it was due to the fact that this game was anti-VM. It was basically anti-tamper. The actual creator didn't want anybody to uncover the secrets of their game, which is something that I wanted to set out to do myself. Now, this involved several hours, I would say days, of basically sitting and wasting my time trying to decipher and understand the innards of Sonic Gather Battle, and I would wager that 99% of this entire endeavor was a waste of time. But you know what? I still went on a fucking journey. So let me take you on a journey with me. Step 1, virtual machines. Of course, you come to my channel and I know there's one dude's like this India motherfucker always about them goddamn fucking virtual machines. You bet your asshole that I am. Now, because this game is anti-VM, it won't run underneath virtual machines. You can't run this under VMware, VirtualBox, KVM, whatever, because the developer actually ensures that their game won't launch. So I'm not going to take this shit lightly. Now, we have two options. I could go out and buy a separate computer, which is totally plausible, but I'm not going to fucking bother doing it because that's not really what the challenge is all about. The other option is trying to lie to this developer and tell them, no, there is no VM present. Now, this took a lot of steps. So first thing I needed to do was I needed to get a Linux distribution because Linux is God tier, and if you want to do anything virtualization hypervisor related, Linux is probably the best alongside Hyper-V or whatever. But I got Linux, and if you want to know what kind of Linux, it is in fact Arch Linux. All right, I figured I have to say that because as Arch Linux people can't shut the fuck up for more than 15 seconds without telling everybody that we use Arch Linux. Anyways, though, now that I'm on Arch Linux, those are my system specifications, all of that intact. Let's look at Virtual Machine Manager. Now, this isn't like your regular virtual machine that you download. This ain't VMware. This isn't VirtualBox. This is KVM, which is Kernel Virtual Machines. These are VMs that run in kernel space. This is as bare metal as you can get. Basically, these are three virtual machines. Win10 is the VM that I use to pretty much play my video games on. So when I want to play games like Death Stranding or Horizon or Cyberpunk 2077, this is the VM that I'm using to pretty much game off. The reason why I game off of these VMs is I don't really use Windows for more than just video gaming. So I fire up a virtual machine for an hour, play a video game, shut down, go back to using secure, safe, and awesome Linux. Now, above this are the VMs that we have crafted. So here we've got VM1, which VM1 is basically the virtual machine that we are using to run these games. I also made Sonic Gather Battle. Now, I made these VMs because there's no fucking way I'm touching my Windows 10 VM. It still has me signed into Steam or anything. I wanted to make a fresh, virgin virtual machine. But beyond that, there's a lot of things that we had to do to change it and make sure that it's hidden. Because if we were to fire up these VMs, Sonic Gather Battle just fucking figures it out. So, quick thing right over here, I'm going to show you real quick what this VM is like. Now, if we open up the XML, which is sort of the granular sheet that tells you exactly what this VM is doing, what this domain is doing upon firing up. As you can notice, I'm passing through my CPU host, so this believes that I am running an i9-9900K. I'm passing proper topology, which is 8 cores, 2 threads, so 16 threaded systems. I have also included this very important line, feature policy disable, hypervisor. You normally don't want to do this if you're gaming. For example, if you play Cyberpunk 2077 and you have this line enabled, at least in my case, you'll lose 50 frames on average in your VM. This basically gets sort of like a decade worth of fucking optimizations, but if you want to make sure that you're not giving away that you're on a virtual machine, this is a very important step towards it. Now, this section really isn't important. All this stuff really is passing through an audio driver, my keyboard and mouse, but what's important here is this QEMU argument. Negative CPU, host RDTSCP equals off, HV time, KVM off, hardware vendor ID null, and negative hypervisor. So what I'm doing here is I'm ensuring that nothing here is showing. I'm trying to make this look as clean as possible. Of course, that's not the only step, because now we have to worry about something called like RDTSC and VM exits and all these things. You can never make sure this is 100% spoofed. Any software you are using that really wants to look into this will figure it out. But because this is Sonic Gather Battle, I'm going to assume that what I'm about to do is still way too fucking far. Now, quick question here. All right, Linux is great because it's open source, right? Meaning that we can get the source code to Linux and modify it in every single way possible. So over here, you're actually looking at the source files for the Linux kernel, which is the heart of the Linux operating systems we use. Now over here in the Linux folder, before I build an entire kernel, which usually takes an hour, this is a modification that I'm going to make to the actual operating system that'll allow me to at least spoof something to the nth degree. We can actually modify a couple files. So SVM is for AMD people. So if you're on our AMD CPU, this is your folder. I'm on an Intel, so I'm going to go to VMX. Then you got to go to like fucking VMC. And in this folder, you actually have to modify and you have to add a few lines. You have to basically patch this file itself to spoof RDTSC. Now this works for plenty of games like Genshin Impact, for instance. On PC will not work underneath a VM. By spoofing this and putting in that one line I showed you earlier, feature policy disable hypervisor, you can actually run Genshin Impact. This is to say, I would never recommend you fucking try this at all if you're trying to game on like Rainbow Six Siege or any other game to get this working. Because it may work for like a month or two, but when they ban your account, which they will, you are not able to contest that ban. If they tell you what you have done, which they'll be able to dig all of this out, you can't fight it back. You can't tell them, oops, I made a mistake. No. There is no oops. You fucked up. You definitely circumvented their ban, or at least tried to. So just full warning as we go in. Anyways, all that said, let's start this bullshit up. Now, another big thing that I have to do as we're starting up is I actually have Windows 7. So alongside trying to hide my virtual machine, I've also tried to use an older version of Windows. Windows 10 was just not launching the game. Windows 7 was the sweet spot. Please ignore the fact that I have the game. I have Windows in Portuguese. It was the only, I'm not going to explain how I got here, okay? There's some things best left unsaid. All right, so here we've got a fresh virgin system. All right, now I'm going to do the smart thing over here, and I'm going to please change this to at least English keyboard prompts, just so I don't fucking lose my mind. Now, let's whittle on back. Before you launch this, understand something right now. We need to start killing network connections hardcore, so we're going to disable the network connectivity on this VM. The reason for that is this game will actually dig deep into your, it will actually bring up an IP like website, like whatsmyip.com hidden. It'll catalog your actual IP address and ship it off to this person's server. This is how this person is able to figure out where you roughly live and the location of your computer. And this is what this person uses to actually blacklist you. Now, if we fire up this person's game, you can see that it immediately requires admin privileges. You never really should do this for anything, but because we're on a VM, I really don't fucking care. Now, the game will refuse to absolutely run. As we're running this, interestingly enough, we are also behind a virtual private network. So I've run this with both a network enabled and a network disabled. Now, even with all of that, the most important thing is I've been running tools like Wireshark, basically network gathering tools to understand what this virtualized machine is doing. What I'm trying to look for are IP addresses that this is hitting right now. And unfortunately, all right, it's pretty hard to decipher it, and it's not possible to actually get a real IP hit at the moment. What is, however, weird is I have several routers and like security software that is able to at least tell me when I'm trying to hit weird shit or when weird stuff is trying to ping into my network. And I'm under the assumption that since this game pretty much talks back to a server, this is a game with online-only DRM. Without the server active, which the server has been taken down, this, unfortunately, is an unplayable game, right? Now, with that said, even if it wasn't unplayable, IP addresses get cataloged, sent over to the actual creator. And once your IP is cataloged, you won't be able to run the game at all. Unless, of course, and get this is fucking stupid, you write a fucking essay to the actual creator telling them, I didn't mean to steal your sprites, I don't mean to hack, and then they would have the mercy to put you on the whitelist so you could play their crappy fucking game. That is the kind of bullshit we're looking at. Now, because this is required to an online-only server, I unfortunately cannot reverse engineer and get this game kind of launching, which is a shitty aspect of it. But then this is where the weird part of the whole video came out. What's really just fucking weird about this is amongst my video, there's plenty of other videos which try to detail you safe versions of the game. Like, hey guys, Sonic Gather Battle, safe version, read download. I'm literally sick of people asking me if this is safe or not, despite I was clear enough in the title. So I disabled comments, no virus or DRM. Now this is apparently an alleged safe version of the game, but I'm going to go delving into this and we're going to figure out just how weirdly unsafe this could technically just be. Now, because Sonic Gather Battle had multiple versions, the version that wasn't launching is the one with the dreaded anti-cheat. So if you don't know what the anti-cheat is, basically if you were running this game and you had cheat engine enabled, or you fired up a web browser and just looked up the word cheats or hacks or whatever, it would trigger the in-game DRM, so you couldn't play the game, it would be unplayable. Then this person would catalog your system's registry through the administration privileges that we ended up giving it, and it would catalog your IP address and send it to their server. So this person was basically harvesting some serious personal information on any person that was trying to fucking steal, get this, their Sonic sprites, which, by the way, weren't even fucking original. So let's go look at some of these older versions of the game, right? Which is where, like, the real meat comes out of. So this is Sonic Gather Battle, apparently, allegedly, the safe version of the game. So we're going to hit start on this and see. Now, this game was also VM aware. So meaning that I couldn't run this under a virtual machine through regular methods. That is until we started the stealth system that we just developed here. So when you start this up, bam, it works. If you want to play the game, then you must abide by rules. Sega and I have an authority to go fuck yourself. Sega and you have an authority. What kind of god complex shit am I looking at, dude? So, hey, 23 Sonic the Hedgehog anniversary. Let's go into it. So excuse the lag real quick, because I'm basically getting every like hypervisor extension and I'm not passing through an actual GPU, there's going to be some lag. So let's get understanding. Now there is a network system, and to show you the weird side of it, I'm going to show you something. So if you go to the game start, the game will actually crash. Why does it crash? Because the game requires admin privileges. The people that have been peddling this shit as safe have been telling people all this time, run it as administrator. You should never run this shit as an administrator. Because guess what? Even if this doesn't have the dreaded DRM that the newest version had, there's no doubt in my fucking mind that this person wasn't actively spying on individuals throughout this game's lifespan. And people just didn't look too hard into it to understand what this person was about. So yeah, let's run it as administrator. Fuck it. Authority. I can't get over this line, dude. Fuck this numbskull, dude. Authority to delete the game. Yo, authority to suck my cock, dude. Alright, let's hit game start. Oh, look at that. It fucking loads. Now, normally, you would give administrator privileges when you're, like, installing an application or a system-level driver. However, there's no reason why this fucking game needs system-level there's just no reason. Unless they're actively looking through unless they're looking through some weird shit. There's no reason for you to give it to it. Understand this is how permissions work, right? You've got user space windows, which is where most games run into. Most games that you play will probably never require you to have administrator rights, right? Like if you play a PC game, you don't really need to give it administrator privileges. So when you give administrator privileges, this thing is going to have like unfettered access. The only thing above that, as far as I know about Windows, is like system level access. Can I get out of this fucking demo? I can't get out of the demo. God damn. Fun fact, Windows 7 under virtual machine was not taking USB emulation really lightly. So unfortunately, you have to use PS2. You have to emulate PS2 connectivity. Otherwise, your keyboard and mice will not work. Fun fact. There we go. Now I can actually use the fucking game. Alright, let's go to versus mode. Shit. So, God, they just have terrible fucking PC controls, man. God, dude, these guys are embarrassing. Which one do you pick? Sonic, Tails, Nuckles, Shader? Oh, hell yeah, I want to go Shader. Fuck yeah, dude. Man, this is terrible. Let's go 7 CPUs. Fuck it, why not? Question mark, and... So, now with this game, it actually does have a fair bit of, like... it's kind of like playing Smash, you know what I mean? At this point, so let's go level easy, you know, just so I don't get absolutely ass fucked in the first second of the game. And yeah, I mean, it starts off relatively well. You've got like 7 NPCs on the screen, and I'm sorry again for the lag. It's just this game itself isn't even running smooth at all either. So yeah, it's just basically a Sonic battle adventure, right? It's got a flat area for you to fight Charmy and like all these other characters on. Now, of course, if you start going into the web browser, what would trigger the original anti-cheat was if you started typing in things like cheat, right? Or you start typing in like mod or whatever to the entire mix. But because we're on the older, technically safe version, which still, in my opinion, isn't fucking safe, you have now entered a scenario where you can play the game, search up cheats, or use Cheat Engine. But, again, you're giving administrator privileges to this nonsense game anyways. At least, so even if the game doesn't run underneath Windows 10, at least we know that we preserved the gameplay of it under virtualization. So yeah, bottom line is you're probably going to need Windows 7, and you probably don't need to harden it as much as I did. Honestly, the feature policy hypervisor flag should be enough to get this game running anyways. I doubt this person's checking for RDTSC timings. But this video isn't really just about playing this game. Let's look at the aftermath of this scenario. One thing to note is when we looked at our bandwidth check, right, when we were looking at basically the network traffic and quickly analyzing it, there's a lot of packets to sift from, right? So what we're really trying to do is just like isolate IP address that this VM is necessarily hitting. Now, we gave this virtual machine its own network, okay? Its own network on the hardware level and even in the software level on the system. So no IP address is being hit from my main system, right? So excluding what Linux is doing, the Windows virtual machine in this case was really just hitting IP addresses normally in my VPN range. But looking further than that, what was interesting is looking into the network's software security stuff that I actually have around my house. The actual hardware-based security was trying to reject IP addresses or connections, basically incoming or outgoing, mostly outgoing, to certain servers in this case. Now, I want to believe that what's actually happened over here is this game is trying to resolve to a server that this person used to own. Like I said in the beginning, you need an online-only connection. Online-only connection is required to run that malware DRM version of Sonic Gather Battle, which is now impossible to play for most people out there. This version of the game, right, underneath Windows 10 natively will not work. I've tried this with real hardware. It refuses to launch. Even under VMs, it refuses to launch, which again leads me to believe that it's not necessarily the virtual machines that are causing it the issue. It's the fact that this person's server has been taken down. Now, the person behind this malware was someone that was out in Taiwan, meaning that even though these are federal crimes, this person's definitely going to get fucking away with it because they live on the other side of the world and no federal officer is chasing somebody over Sonic the Hedgehog bullshit. Listen, unless the president's kids start getting hacked and this shit ends up being in the White House, then they might hunt this down. But this isn't going to happen because Joe Schmo got their fucking Sonic OC Sonic OC stealing dreams ruined because of some hacker. Which leads me to the next step. When you're committing federal crimes over somebody stealing your fucking sprite recolor, you should really seek medical help and really contemplate about what you're actually fucking doing with your life. So ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to look into Sonic Gather Battle once again and finally beat the VM bullshit, which I have. I have gotten the game to run. I have preserved these games. I think what I most want to talk about with these videos is the amount of stuff that I'm seeing online with safe versions of the game. Sonic Gather Battle is 100% a very, very sus tool to use. And I'm not just talking about the recent version 2. This anti-VM, this malware nonsense seems to have stemmed throughout this game's lifespan. And this requirement for administrator privileges, which a lot of these people basically... First off, mostly kids are downloading this game anyways. Kids who are into their Sonic stuff. So a lot of the YouTubers and a lot of the content creators out there that are passing off safe versions as this is totally okay, I'm not getting my stuff stolen, it's fine that you do that, I guess, but understand that it's still not fine, knowing that if you're willingly doing this, you're letting people download programs to their computer running, obviously, in my opinion, suspicious, if not malicious software, and giving them full administrator control over your system just to run a game is not a fucking good look at all for the game creator at all. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to look into it. We've preserved Sonic Gather Battle for whatever it's worth, and also for whatever it's worth, please don't ever download this game and run it natively on your system. This shit is a fucking malware ticking time bomb. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. This is a longer video than usual. I am